The Thing by the Stream. Welcome to Dark Tale Shorts 101, where every shadow has a story to tell. Our stories are inspired by real people, folklore, personal encounters, and terrifying experiences from around the world. While the narration is created using AI voice technology, the stories come from human accounts and unexplained events people never forget. We try to keep our stories under 10 minutes. But sometimes that feels unfair to the friends and listeners who share their experiences with us. Some stories carry too much fear, emotion, and meaning to be cut too short. So instead of forcing every story to fit perfectly, we do our best to keep them around 10 minutes while still respecting the heart of the experience. If you enjoy short horror stories, paranormal encounters, and creepy storytelling, please like, subscribe, and join us. Because sometimes, the scariest stories are the ones people swear really happened. Tonight's story is called The Thing by the Stream. Thank you to everyone who shares their stories with us and helps bring these chilling experiences to life. This happened when I first started my career in the military. I was young, still new, still learning what it meant to wear the uniform, still trying to prove to myself that I belonged there. At the time, I was an Army soldier recruit attending basic combat training at Fort Knox. And before I go any further, I want to say this. I will not mention the names of the people who were there with me. I will not mention the names of any instructors. That is out of respect for them. Some of them may still be around today. Some may have gone on with their lives and never spoken about what happened. And maybe they have their own reasons for staying quiet. Because what we saw that day was not something you could easily explain. It was not something you could report. It was not something you could bring back to an instructor and expect them to believe, especially as a recruit, especially in basic training. You do not want to be the one who sounds scared. You do not want to be the one who says something strange is out there in the woods. You do not want people looking at you like you cannot handle training. So we kept quiet, all of us. But what I experienced that day has followed me all the way to now. And if the others who were with me ever hear this story, they will know exactly who we were. They will know exactly where we were. And they will remember. Because there are some things your mind tries to bury, but your body never forgets. It happened during land navigation training. For those who have never done it, land navigation is not just walking through the woods. You are given a map, a compass, a set of points, and you have to find your way through rough terrain, tree lines, hills, low ground, and whatever else is out there. You learn quickly that the woods can play tricks on you. Distances feel different. Sounds travel strangely. One wrong turn can send you farther off than you realize. And when you are a recruit, you are already tired. You are already stressed. You are trying to do everything right. You are trying not to look weak. But before I continue, I want to explain something important about basic combat training. The military has strict policies for Army recruits. You are not just sent out alone into the woods. Everyone is paired with a combat buddy. In the Army, we call this the buddy system. So that day, there were 4 of us moving together. It was me and my training buddy, along with another soldier and his training buddy. We were paired as a group of 4. And this was not some random wilderness where no one knew where we were. This was a controlled military training environment. Fort Knox had conducted training in those areas year-round. Recruits had gone through those woods many times before us, and many more would go through them after us. So we were not expecting anything unusual. We were not expecting anything out of the ordinary. There were always instructors, drill sergeants, cadre, or combat medics somewhere within distance if assistance was needed. Even though we were moving through the woods for land navigation, we were still inside a military training area. That is part of what made the encounter so hard to understand. Because in a place that controlled, in a place where soldiers trained all the time, in a place where we were supposed to be watched, accounted for, and safe, we still saw something that none of us could explain. That day, there were 4 of us total. Me and my training buddy, another soldier and his training buddy. We were moving together under the Army's buddy system, the way recruits are required to do during training. We were moving through the training area, trying to stay focused, trying to read the terrain, trying to make sure we did not miss our point. The woods were thick in places, not impossible to move through, but thick enough that you had to watch your footing. Branches scratched against our uniforms. Leaves crunched under our boots. The air had that damp, earthy smell that woods get when the ground holds moisture. At first, nothing felt unusual. We were just doing what we were supposed to do. Walking. Checking the map. Looking for terrain features. Trying to keep moving. But after a while, we came into a lower area. The ground became softer. The trees grew closer together. The air felt cooler. And somewhere ahead, we could hear water. Not loud, just a small stream moving through the woods. A quiet trickle. The kind of sound you barely notice until everything else gets quiet. We pushed forward. I remember stepping over roots, trying to keep my balance, trying not to slow the group down. Then it happened. My boot caught on something. A root, a rock, maybe both. I lost my footing and went down hard. Before I could catch myself, I slipped forward and fell into the small stream. The water was cold. It soaked into my uniform almost immediately. My hands hit mud and slick stones. For a second, I was more embarrassed than scared. In basic training, falling down in front of others is not something you want to do. You get up fast. You act like nothing happened. You keep moving. That was my first thought. Get up. Shake it off. Do not make a big deal out of it. But then I smelled something. And that was the first moment when everything changed. It was strong. A strange muddy smell. Rotten. Heavy. Almost like a skunk. But not exactly. It had that sharpness to it. But there was something else underneath. Something wet. Something old. Something animal. It was so strong that it hit the back of my throat. I froze with one hand in the water and one hand pressed into the mud. For a moment, I thought maybe I had fallen near a dead animal. Maybe something had died by the stream. Maybe the smell was coming from under the bank. Then I heard movement. Not from behind me. Not from my buddies. From across the stream. A slow movement. Heavy. Like something large shifting its weight. I lifted my head, and that was when I saw it. At first, I could not understand what I was looking at. There was a large tree trunk on the other side of the stream. Thick. Dark. Partly covered by brush. And behind it, something was rising. Not standing from a crouch like a man. Not jumping up like an animal startled by noise. It rose slowly. Too slowly. Like it had been bent over near the water. Like it had been drinking. Or hiding. And when it stood up, my mind stopped working. It was huge. 8 feet. Maybe 9. Tall enough that I had to tilt my head back to see all of it. Its body was covered in dark, matted hair. Not clean fur. Not like a bear. This looked dirty. Wet in places. Clumped with mud. The shoulders were wide. The arms were long. Too long. Mud. They hung down in a way that made it look almost human, but not human enough. And then I saw its face. That is the part one still remember the clearest. Not the height. Not the smell. Not even the fear. The face. It was looking down at me. Directly at me. Its eyes were deep set. Dark. But not empty. There was awareness there. Not like an animal confused by a person. Not like a deer startled in the woods. It looked at me like it knew exactly what I was. And I knew. It was not afraid of me. I was still on the ground, half in the stream, soaked and covered in mud. My weapon was not in my hands the way it should have been. My body would not move. My mouth would not open. I could not yell. I could not call for help. I could not even breathe right. Everything inside me locked up. I have been scared before. But this was different. This was the kind of fear that shuts the body down. The kind where your brain is screaming at you to move. But nothing listens. The creature stood on the other side of the stream, towering above me. The smell grew stronger. That muddy, skunk-like odor rolled off it in waves. It was so strong I could taste it. I remember thinking, this cannot be real. This cannot be happening. But it was right there. Breathing. Watching. Standing behind that tree trunk like it had been caught doing something it did not want us to see. Then I heard my training buddy behind me. He had come to help me up. I could hear his boots moving through the leaves. One of the others said something. I do not remember what. Maybe my name. maybe asking if I was okay. Then the footsteps stopped. All at once, the woods went silent. I did not have to turn around to know what happened. They saw it too. I could feel them behind me. Frozen, just like I was. No one spoke. No one laughed. No one said, "What is that?" No one said, "Run." No one said anything. 4 recruits in the woods. And not one of us could make a sound. The creature's head shifted slightly. Its eyes moved past me and toward the others. That small movement made my stomach drop. Because now I knew it saw all of us. It knew we were there. It knew we had seen it. For a few seconds, or maybe longer, we were all trapped in that moment. The stream kept moving around my hands. Water ran over my boots. A leaf floated past my knee. Somewhere far away, a bird called once and then went quiet. The creature did not growl. It did not charge. It did not beat its chest. It did not act like the monsters in movies. That almost made it worse. It just stood there, watching us. Like it was deciding what to do. Like it was waiting to see what we would do first. I remember its breathing. Low, heavy, not loud enough to echo, but loud enough that I could hear it over the stream. Then it shifted its weight. One foot moved back. The brush behind it bent. A branch cracked under its weight. That sound snapped something loose in me. Not enough to run. Not enough to scream. But enough to move. I slowly pushed myself backward in the water. My hand slipped on a rock. I almost fell again. My training buddy reached down and grabbed part of my gear. He did not say anything. He just pulled. Another recruit grabbed my arm. Together, they dragged me backward out of the stream. None of us turned our backs fully. None of us wanted to look away. The creature remained on the other side, still watching. Its head followed us. Step by step, we backed away from the stream. Slowly, carefully. No sudden movement. No shouting. No jokes. No orders. Just fear. The kind of fear that makes every sound too loud. Every breath too sharp. Every second too long. When we got farther into the trees, the creature lowered itself slightly. Not all the way down. Just enough that the tree trunk and brush began to hide part of its body again. Then it turned, slowly, and moved into the woods. I will never forget how quiet it was for something that large. It did not crash through the brush the way you would expect. It moved with control, with purpose. Branches shifted, leaves moved, and then it was gone. But the smell remained. That muddy, skunk-like odor stayed in the air long after we could no longer see it. None of us moved for a moment. We just stood there, wet, shaking, trying to understand what had happened. Then someone finally whispered, "Did you see that?" No one answered right away, because answering meant admitting it was real. And I think all of us were hoping someone would say no. Someone would say we imagined it. Someone would say it was a bear. But nobody said that, because we all knew what we saw. And whatever that thing was, it was not a bear. It stood like a man. It looked at us like a man. But it was not a man. We eventually forced ourselves to keep moving. That is what training does to you. You keep going, even when your mind is somewhere else. Even when your body is still back at that stream. We did not report it. We did not tell the instructors. What would we have said? That 4 recruits saw an 8 or 9 foot creature by a stream. That it smelled like mud and skunk. That it stood up behind a tree and stared at us. No one would believe that. Or worse, they would believe we were scared. They would think we were making excuses. They would think we were trying to get attention. And in basic training, that is the last thing you want. So we kept it between us. Even then, we barely talked about it. Maybe a few words. Maybe a look. Maybe one quiet question. But no real conversation. No long explanation. No agreement to keep quiet. We did not need one. Some things are understood without being said. We finished the training. We went back. We acted normal. Or as normal as we could. But I know I was not the same after that. For the rest of my time there, every time we were near the woods, I paid attention differently. Every smell. Every broken branch. Every sound near water. I noticed it. I felt it. And even after basic training ended, even after I moved on in my military career, that memory stayed with me. I have seen difficult things in life. I have experienced fear in different ways. But that moment by the stream remains different. Because there was no explanation, no closure, no proof. Just 4 young recruits in a controlled military training area. And something standing over us that should not have been there. Sometimes I wonder if the others remember it the way I do. Maybe they pushed it away. Maybe they convinced themselves it was something else. Maybe they never told anyone. Maybe they are hearing this story now and feeling the same chill I feel when I think about it. And if they are still around today, they will know. They will know exactly who they are. They will remember the stream. They will remember the smell. They will remember how all of us froze. And they will remember that face. Because I do. I still see it sometimes when I close my eyes. That dark, muddy shape rising from behind the tree. That massive body standing on the other side of the water. That face staring down at me like it had been there long before us. And would still be there long after we left. I do not know what it was. I do not know if it was a creature people talk about in stories. I do not know if it was something hidden in those woods. I only know what I saw. And I know I was not alone. There were 3 others with me. My training buddy, another soldier, and his training buddy. 3 others who froze behind me. 3 others who saw enough to understand why none of us wanted to speak. And to this day, I believe there are things in this world that stay hidden not because they are weak, but because they choose when to be seen. That day at Fort Knox, during land navigation training, inside a place where we were supposed to be accounted for, inside a place where instructors, drill sergeants, cadre, and medics were never supposed to be too far away. One of those things chose to stand up, and we were unlucky enough to be there when it did. Thank you for listening to tonight's story here on Dark Tale Shorts 101. If this story gave you chills, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who enjoys creepy encounters, folklore, and unexplained stories. And if you have a true scary story, family legend, or personal experience you would like to share, we would love to hear it. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, some things in the woods do not hide because they are afraid. They hide because they are watching.